Alright, welcome back. I already went ahead and I TIG welded on the second shelf on my car, and I'm going to start doing the second one. And my wife asked me a really good question. Why am I marking up these pieces here with marker and then going with a flat disc, which is what this is, and taking off this grayish stuff on the metal? Well, the gray stuff is it's technically martensite, or a type of martensite, but mill scale. It's a process of hot rolling metal. Anytime you heat up metal and you let it cool down, it gets this crusty stuff. And it has a really high what they call Rockwell hardness. It's hard. Think of it like China. China's hard, but if you hit it, it breaks. Same thing with this. The problem is that it's actually slag, so it's bad for welding, especially TIG welding. And I saw that on Winterberg Wednesdays, Martin was doing a lot of TIG welding and the TIGs were nasty, but as soon as he figured out that if you cleaned them, they actually came out much nicer. So what I'm going to do is, let me show you, is I have an angle die grinder, 90 degrees. This is just a Rolleiflex twist pads that I have. This is the roughest one that I have. They're like scouring pads with abrasives on it. And this is the strongest one. There's this, I don't know, brownish color, then a blue, and then a tan. And I believe the blue is the finest. To take off this mill scale, I always use the brown, and it goes off. I found that using an air compressor over an air tool over a drill gives me more control. So I'm going to do that real fast, and then set up the next shelf, and then we'll be able to get going on the rest of the frame here. So I'll get back to you guys in a second. So this is what I'm talking about. See how here, I hope in the camera you can see it's nice and shiny. It's actually nice and smooth, where over here it's rough, and you can actually see where some rust and stuff is. So now here, where I'm going to put the next shelf, they'll have nice clean material. The shelf is already prepped, and we'll be able to attach it to both sides without any splattering or popping or any of that stuff. So let me do that, and then we'll show you what it looks like when it's done. So here are the three shelves, 1, 2, 3. I am going to put a support piece across the bottom, but you see how this piece sticks up here, way up here, sticks out. So what I'm going to do really quick actually is take an angle grinder, cut it flat, grind it, and then put some welds on there to cap it off, and then I'll start working on the other side. So let me get back to that, and yeah, you can see here that there's some nice little welds here. They're not the greatest. This is actually my first TIG welding project, so I have to say it's not too bad. And it's for me, it's not for a customer or a friend or anything like that, so it's good to go. Alright, get back to you guys in a little bit. So I finished welding up the cart. The back supports are in, and that's the back. This is actually the front where I'm going to be pushing it. I want to have two heavy cylinders here. And if you notice, the bottom shelf here is actually longer than the middle and the top shelf. Okay. Now, because of that, I had to make a special cut on this support piece so it could slide in nice like this. So I have areas to weld to hold it on, just as I do on the front. Then if you look up, we're able to then align these. And as you notice, the top one doesn't meet at all. That tells me that this isn't perpendicular. I will have to probably move it around, find the right spot, and then push it into place, and weld it up. So I'm going to do this off camera and get back to you guys after it's all tacked together. So the main part of the cart is done now. You can see that I got the uprights. These I'll bend down later to make handles. But right now what I'm focusing on is this area right here. I want to make a divider here so I can actually put one tank here, one tank here. So I need to measure or get a mold. So what I'm going to use is some wire and some snips, and let me go do that and let me show you what that looks like. What I want to do is probably divide this up, and then up here I want to make a cutout so the tanks rest against this with the latch. So that's what I'm working on right now before I bend these down, because these will bend this way like that, and that will make the handle. But all in all, it's looking pretty good. This is what I did. I put some galvanized wire around the whole tank. this stuff holds itself. So what I'm going to do now is snip this, bring this up, and it should keep its shape. So that way I can make some patterns over here for some supports up here. So when the tanks sit here, they get some support against this and not just leaning against this. So that's the plan for now. Alright guys, here's what I did. So I got this piece, I trimmed it up, I then found the center point, and then I found the center point of that center point, and then I drew a notch up, I think it was 1/4 of an inch in each one. And then this bottle's about 7.5 inches in diameter, so I super glued it to this wooden piece. So there's blue tape on this side and blue tape, and you super glue it together. And then I drew a line all the way up to the midpoint of 7.5, which is 3 3/4 here and here. And then I took one of my compasses and I put one of my carbide tips on it and drew the arc. What I'm planning to do now is I want to see if I can actually use my plasma cutter and cut these out. I've never done it before, but why not? So wish me luck. Yeah, I'm not going to record that because I'm going to take my sweet time doing this. Alright, see you guys in a bit. So there we go. I cut these two semicircles here. The tank over there fits perfectly right here. I did go and put in a little support here. What I'm planning to do is I'm going to cut a slot in here so a bungee cord can fit around this piece. So next is I'm going to cut these off. I thought I'd make a handle to push the cart, but no need. So I'm going to cut this off, grind it flat, weld to it. Same thing with that side, and then flip it over and put the casters on so I can start prepping to attach all the tool stuff I want on the side, and then prime and paint. So let's see how far I get. Alright, so I was able to finish the holder here. You're going to see that I put a little hole in here for the bungee cord to fit in. Then you're going to see these 4 pieces of rebar. The idea here with these rebars that I welded on there is that I'm going to wrap the big 220 extension cord around this. It's pretty big. I'm going to show you how big mine is. It's down there. So it has a lot, and I already test fitted it once. So it's ready to go. The loud noise that you're hearing is my dust filter and my TIG welder running right there. So now I'm just letting this set. In other words, letting it cool down because it's hotter than Hades right now. And then what I'll want to do is bend these into shape. Some of them are not straight, and now that they're welded on there, I can get a pipe and actually wrench on them and try to make them as straight as I can to the beam. So it just looks appealing. You can see that one's way off right there. You can see how it needs to go. So that's it with that. Next, I'm gonna try to make holders for my welding rod. That's these little tiny tubes here. Ideally, what I'm thinking of doing is sticking like them this way up and down the cart, and I'm thinking of using some of the spare meshing that I have here and create like a patterned I don't know, scallops like so that way they slide in there, and then up here putting in some steel loops so these come through. And then I want to do the same basically for my welding rods that you see there up on this side or up on the top side, and then the bottom side here will have just the welding these placed here. I think I have to figure it out, but it's coming along. I think it looks good. You can see I placed the wheels on there already, just to test it. I didn't put all the nuts in because I don't want to unscrew all the nuts to paint it, but so far so good. So I'm gonna let this cool off and then I'll get back at it.